Hello, McVeigh Dragons. Welcome to Mr. Thornley Music Class, Volume 10. We're going to do a kind of a review of what we kind of did the entire year a little bit. And we're going to end up with harmony. That's what we worked on last week a little bit and finished. Okay. Get my prop here. All right. So we're going to kind of do a little bit of each category here of how a song's made. With the beat, with the melody, with the harmony. And then, and like I said, we just worked on harmony last week and we're kind of finishing up in a quick review today. So, start with beat. Okay, in the fall we worked on steady beat and meter. And I'm going to do just a few little demos here. Like, so with steady beat, you got to keep it steady. And we said, we kind of called that our pi pattern. So it's like pi, 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 pi. Then we want to put the steady beat into a meter. And we worked on the meters of 2, 3, 4, and 6. So the meter of 2 would be, here's our beat, be like loud, soft, or 1, 2. Okay? Worked on meter of 3. This is my beat. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, like that. Meter 4 would be, excuse me. This is my beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and the meter of 6 is like, all right, it'd be like, if I do it like, I'm gonna do a little fit 1, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I'm gonna have my hand do like it's in 2, okay? Because we said that meter 6 is a compound meter, 2 meters and 1. It's a meter 2 and a meter of 6. Meter 6, but it has a meter 2 built in. So if I'm going like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm doing 6 with my hand. And then I'm doing just 2 with my non-drumming hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we worked on those meters because you're going to find quite a few songs in those meters, with the most common being meter 4. And let's review our rhythm patterns real quick. We have pie, apple, huckleberry, gooseberry, apricot, strawberry, and pot, pie, pot. 7. And which pattern is this? See if you can guess. I'm going to do a slow beat. Okay. Hopefully you said gooseberry. How about this one? Hopefully you said strawberry. How about this? Okay. Hopefully you said pot, pie, pot. How about this? Okay. Hopefully you said apple. How about this one? Okay. Hopefully you said apricot. This one. Okay, that's pretty easy, right? That's our pie pattern. It's our basic beat. Okay, and how about, did I leave out anything? How about this one? Okay, and hopefully you said huckleberry. So keep practicing those patterns and keep looking over our previous videos to go back to what we went over earlier. I want to move on now to melody. We worked on melody in the wintertime. And melodies have notes that move by step, leap, or repeat. And, okay, so we also talked about how they have an octave, which is 8 steps. It's like a flight of stairs, then it starts another octave. So, okay, that's the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay, so that's your scale. And your melodies are built off of the notes of the scale. And there's different scales too, not just this one. But And I just played this major scale in a key of C just now. And so if you have a melody, you're going to use notes from that scale to make your melody. You also have notes from that scale to make your chord. We talked about that. We'll get to harmony in a little bit. So you want to be able to identify when this is stepping, and it's stepping up, right? Stepping down, and then if I did something like this, that's leaping up, leaping down. Okay, you might have repeated notes like this. All right, so we want to be able to listen to identify what we hear. A good musical ear makes it a lot easier when it comes time to playing an instrument or learning songs. Sometimes you want to learn by ear. Sometimes you learn by written down music on sheet music. Trying to think. Let me look at my notes here. All right, so then we put the notes that move by step, we repeat into phrases, and we use the example of, Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. All right, so they're musical sentences. And if I'm going to play a flute and I'm playing that, I'm going to breathe in between the phrases if I can. Try to play the entire phrase in one breath, and then breathe before the next phrase. So if you don't have a melody unless you have phrases, okay? Just like you don't have a story unless you have sentences, because it wouldn't make sense. It'd be jumbled, right? So, and then once we had learned phrases, we worked on sections. Once you have about 4 phrases in a section, but it could be more or less, depends. You're going to create a section, which is like a musical paragraph. And then you give your sections letter names like A and B, and you put them in a certain order or arrangement, and that's form. We really talked about AB and ABA form, and for you guys, I think we talked about some other different forms like ABCC, which was dry bones. And I might even mention about the rondo form, which is ABACA, or could even be DA, if you want to keep it going. So we talked about sections. And then we also worked on note reading. Refer to the earlier videos when I had my music or my PowerPoint on my TV there, my portable smart board, so to speak. Refer back to that. We talked about whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, and which we talked about a whole note being like pi for 4 beats, then it ring for 4, dotted half ring for 3, half note for 2, and quarter note for 1. And we showed what apple looked like and huckleberry and all the other patterns. So refer to that to keep your memory fresh on that. And then we started working on harmony, okay? And we said that harmony, you had a melody with no harmony. So if I went, Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, all right, we know that's monophonic texture. And if I added chord strumming along or an ostinato pattern to my melody, then it's homophonic texture. And we left off with polyphonic texture, and that's when you have more than one melody in the same song at the same time. And there's 3 ways that I mentioned last time. There's, rounds. And a round is when someone starts the melody, and then once they're partway through it, okay, somebody else starts the melody. Okay, so if I started Row Your Boat, by the time I got to Merrily, you would start Row Your Boat, say, for instance. Okay, so if I start Row Your Boat, when I get to Merrily, you start Row Your Boat. We're not singing the same notes, nor are we singing the same words at the same time. Okay, that's one way to make polyphonic texture. And then there's partner songs. Partner songs is when you take a melody from different songs that share the same chords, and the chords change at the same time. You can take those melodies and put them together. They can be written by different people from different time periods, but you put them together and they harmonize nicely. And melody, counter melody. That's what we did with your song last time, and I recorded it on my phone while I had this so you could hear how I added in the counter melody to that Carpenter song. And hopefully you were able to do that. You were able to, once you listen to it a few times, apply that counter melody when I sang the entire song through, okay? And it was only on the B section, if you remember correctly, the counter melody. So only in the B section of the song was it polyphonic texture. I want to talk just a little bit real quick here because I don't want to take too long, so I want you guys to have a great summer and have a lot of fun. But anyway, we talked about when I did the You've Got a Friend in Me, and I broke it down a little bit about different types of harmony. There's chords we know, ostinato patterns we know. And if we have a second melody with the original melody, we know what that is. The chords in ostinato with one melody make homophonic texture. If you have multiple melodies harmonized, and that's polyphonic. But you have other things going on too sometimes. And in our You've Got a Friend in Me, I did like walking bass lines a little bit. I did a few what's called fills. Okay, so there are a lot of different things. And your fills and your walking bass lines are all off the scale. Okay, just, let's see. So if I'm in a key of C, okay, I'm going to use that scale. I'm going to do a song that's actually in the key, it's called E minor. All right, the version of that I do. I'm just going to do a little bit of it. And I'm going to do a few little things in here for harmony. Now, the E minor scale is the same as the G major scale. So if I'm in a G and I'm doing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. All right, that's the scale I'm using. They use the same notes. But instead of starting with a G, an E minor scale would start with an E. Okay, be like E, but still it's the same notes in the scale. And I'm going to do a song for the Beatles, called, just a little bit of it, called Anti-Lover. And it's a really pretty song, and just a little bit of it. And I'm going to play a few things, and I'll break it down for you. So when you want to play an instrument, you really want to learn the different ways to make a song sound full and complete with harmony. All right, and I'm going to show you a few things now. So starting off with a little bass thing, okay, in chords like this. First of all, I'll go. Okay, so what I did was, you heard some nice things going on there. For one thing, I played chords, and you heard a lot of, okay, that, for my chorus people, they should know that's an arpeggio. All right, if I played the chord, this is an A minor chord I'm starting right here. That's a block chord. Okay, but I did this little bass run, and then I started doing off the chord and a lot of arpeggiate, what's called arpeggiating. And then I did this little run off the arpeggio with a couple notes in the scale. Now I'm in an E minor chord. I messed up there. Now I did this little bass run with the arpeggio mixed. That was all notes of the scale. Now I have a melody in here with the chords. Now I did this. I did a little scale run with some arpeggio, with some of the notes of the chord. I mixed them together. Back to the. This is all off chords with melody included. Okay, so I did a lot of little bass runs going in there, kind of walking, going up with the chord, with arpeggio notes of the chords, arpeggiated notes of the chord with it. And like I said, an arpeggio is the chord, but not done all at the same time. You're doing notes of the chord one at a time, or something like that. So, like this is an arpeggio. It's all on A minor chord. And here's a block chord. Okay. So I did a lot of nice little things, and that's when if you want to play an instrument, you want to learn about the chords and the harmony. You want to learn scales, okay, which we haven't talked a whole lot about other than the major scale, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do scale, and that's used in a lot of songs. But and then you want to think about little connect chords with little fills, okay, and these could be considered fills when I'm going like back to the melody with the chords. Okay, I did some more chord little, what's called hammer-ons and pull-offs. It's all on the scale. So you want to mix all that stuff together, and you can have a really nice piece of music. Okay, so we'll do more in the fall. We're going to probably start with beat again and melody. We have a little harder songs. Well, actually, you won't. Sorry, you're in 5th grade. You'll be moving up. I take that back. But anyway, continue this. Work on, think about harmony. If you see it in band or whatever, and hopefully we'll have our strings back program next year, orchestral strings such as violin, viola, and cello, and that kind of thing. But keep checking my videos that I did. You can always refer back to them, even when you're out of school. They'll be sitting there on that VA channel. So keep looking at them, and if you forget something, okay? On that note, I want you to have a great summer. Like I said, be helpful to your parents. Keep practicing social distancing for a while longer. And always do your McVeigh best, okay? Have a great summer.